Om Shri Sai Ram. Welcome to the 117th edition of Samarpan. Today we have a distinguished speaker, Professor R.K. Bhaskar. He was a faculty in the Department of Commerce and Management, spent many years with Bhagwan after his first interaction in 1979. I think everybody knows to come to Puttaparthi, but Professor Bhaskar was one of the few people who knew that Puttaparthi was the ultimate destination. Expectations, managements, organizational behavior, handling the management curriculum and classes. We will get many interesting and deep insights of dealing with Bhagwan. I think this session is indeed going to be a revelation. It is going to help us to connect well with Bhagwan, and we will realize some very fascinating and deep insights that most of the things which we think we control are actually in the hands of Bhagwan and His will. So let us participate in this digital session of Samarpan, edition 117. Professor Kumar Bhaskar Rachella, I would request you to address this august gathering, and we hope and pray that we'll connect with Bhagwan well after we hear your wonderful experiences and share the divine insights with all our devotees. Welcome, thank you, and Jai Sai Ram.
Pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagwan. Sai Ram to our organization at Karnataka who is giving this opportunity to me to do this Samarpan talk. Actually, we had done the Samarpan of our life to Bhagwan almost 36 years back in 1985. And today I am doing the Samarpan talk. I would like to focus on the theme: education is not for mere living, it is for life. Lessons at the lotus feet of Bhagwan. I think a few things have got to be explained in the beginning. Living and life. Living means routine, course, and experiences. Whereas life means what? Why did Swami say it is not for mere living, it is for life? Bhagavata explains starting of breath is birth and stopping of breath is death. That is why expiration, the last expiration, is death. And the experiences of an individual in between these two is called life. Then essentially, we all have to think, what is the aim of life? That's what Bhagwan always used to ask. What is the aim of life? Actually, Bhagavata itself again gives us the clarification regarding this, which Bhagwan many times used to repeat. It is nothing but wearing out the karmic balance. And how to wear out the karmic balance? Wear out the karmic balance, first of all, following the four Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. That is the ideal way to lead life. Artha and Kama according to Dharma. Then wear out karmic balance is possible. Wearing out karmic balance is possible. And actually, life at the lotus feet of Bhagavan is spiritual life. Because with these particular objectives, under these parameters, if one can live life, then it will actually become spirituality in daily life. Spirituality, Bhagavan used to explain many times, and in one particular discourse, Bhagavan explained this. Spirituality is reducing, eliminating animal qualities, tendencies, and increasing human qualities, resulting in unfoldment of divinity from within. That's what Bhagavan always used to say. How it will be possible for people like me working at the lotus feet of Bhagavan possible to do this? This is what actually I am going to explain to you. And the meaning of education is not for mere living, it is for life. Bhagavan always used to say Vidya and Avidya. Vidya is knowledge of being, Avidya is knowledge of becoming. That is why Bhagavan used to say Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam. That is why education for life is spirituality. And all those of us, teachers as well as students, who have worked for Swami or who have studied in Bhagavan's educational institutions, actually it's a spiritual life. That is why Bhagavan always used to say, all my students are saints. Though actually it looks little unbelievable, but it is true. But then it cannot be taken casually. It's an opportunity given by Bhagavan to all of us. And then we have to realize the value of that and do it in a very, very careful way. Okay? That's why Bhagavan used to say, Sraddhavan labhate jnanam samsayatma vinashyate. Whatever Bhagavan said, teachers as well as students should repose faith in that. Bhagavan said, you are all saints. Is it just like that? Bhagavan said, no. Bhagavan did not say anything just for what is called namesake. He meant it. But then, that is why in Bhagavan's educational institution, education is the manifestation of perfection already there in man. What actually Swami Vivekananda used to explain. So, actually, this is called educare. Educare, health care, medicare, social care, etc. That means not only education, Everything is spirituality at the lotus feet of Bhagavan. But then I am going to focus today more from the teacher's point of view or teacher's dimension. Why? Because in an education system, students and teachers are the most important components. Teachers have an important role to play according to Bhagavan. Teachers are like water tanks, students are like taps. All of us must have heard it many times. Water comes out of the taps. The quality of water that comes out of the taps depends on what actually is there in the tanks. So, actually, Bhagavan gave lot of responsibility. That's why Bhagavan always used to say duties and rights. Duties. That means Bhagavan gave more responsibility to the teachers. Say, for example, Bhagavan always used to say, how are the present batch of students? He used to ask us. At that time, in the beginning of my joining this institution here, though actually I should say I worked for 10 years before joining this university in another very big university. And I joined here actually in the year 1985 as an associate professor. But still, Bhagavan always used to say, the teachers here are not lecturers, but they are acharyas, meaning they have to practice before they preach. Meaning, walking the talk is very, very important in Bhagavan's educational institutions. That's why Bhagavan used to classify teachers as 3 types of teachers: complaining teachers, explaining teachers, or not perspiring teachers. And then inspiring teachers, not expiring teachers. That's why teachers have a responsibility. So Bhagavan used to say, whenever, when I was trying to give the feedback, when we were trying to give the feedback, Swami, in this batch, students are not up to the quality. Swami used to say, you are not perfect. You are not good. You are not doing your job properly. Because the tank is more important. What is there in the tank is very, very important. So here Bhagavan actually, what Bhagavan expected, qualities, qualifications of teachers working for Bhagavan's educational institutions. Meaning, in the language of modern human resource management, it's called personality, nature, organization fit. Personality or nature and organization fit. Meaning, actually, what is the mindset or what are the qualities? What is the orientation or what is the ideal temperament that teachers should possess working for Bhagavan in his great institution called Sri Satya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. That is why I said the lessons I learned at the lotus feet of Bhagavan. I worked for 26 years from 85 to 2011, and after superannuation in the year 2010, Bhagavan gave me, and I am still continuing as honorary professor. I think, what I am going to share should first of all serve the purpose of giving guidance to the posterity, both students and teachers. Actually, initially we all used to hesitate to talk, in spite of the fact that, irrespective of articulation skills, etc. But, one thing, Bhagavan, towards the 2002, 2003, like that, Bhagavan said once, hereafter, I am not going to talk much. I am not going to give the discourses the way I used to give before. But then hereafter, my students, as well as the teachers who are working in Bhagavan's, my institution, educational institutions and other institutions, should go and spread my message. They should not think I will talk only after practicing it 100%. Bhagavan gave concession that hereafter, don't wait for that day. Do it simultaneously. Practice as well as also spread the message. Not preaching, but spread the message. So today what I am going to talk, actually it is not like preaching. It is not like, it's not like a discourse. It's not like a sermon on the mount, but it is like what is called sharing my experiences with all of you, co-travelers on the spiritual path. I would like to actually, focus on few aspects. What I said, what would make teachers actually, learn the qualities which Bhagavan wants us to actually acquire, working for his institutions under his very nose, at his lotus feet. First thing is simple living. Okay, first aspect is simple living. I will throw light on that. Second one is omnipresence and omniscience and omnipotence of Bhagavan. How have we actually observed that? And how we have been benefited by that? The third one is unconditional surrender. Love my uncertainty. Swami always used to say, love my uncertainty, unconditional surrender, without using our bird brain. Then be tough and nice. I will explain to you the meaning of all this and the lessons, experiences, etc. Then heart-to-heart communication. And then actually, if you take care of my children as your own children, I will bear the entire burden of your family as my own family. Okay. First thing is simple living. Both for students and teachers here, actually this is, Bhagavan used to say, Gurukula in the modern world, meaning improvised Gurukula system in the changed world. Bhagavan's educational institution is a Gurukula, is an improvised Gurukula. How? Say for example, students' life here is very unique. Unlike other institutions, students here do not come here, do not have aim, only what is called knowledge, skills, abilities and competences. Bhagavan used to say, along with this, secular education, even spiritual education. That is why the vision of the institution says self-realization is the ultimate goal. Actually, this will be shocking for many people because the modern world concentrates only on job, getting job, earning livelihood. Whereas Bhagavan never only confined himself only to this particular worldly objective. Swami always used to give an example. Actually, Swami used to say, the life of the students here is like temporary death. Swami used to use this expression called temporary death, meaning sannyasa. And actually, Swami used to say, Swami in one of the discourses in the hostel said, this is temporary death. And all the students who study in my educational institution like sannyasa. That means, that is why it seems for sannyasa, during the probation period, the sannyasis are given white clothes before actually giving them akhar robes. And that is why all the students here wear white clothes. That means it is temporary death. That means actually it's an evolved life. When it's an evolved life, naturally, the various contents of life here are also different. The Swami used to give one example. It seems in one particular Gurukula, one teacher was asking the students in the night at the end of the day, how is the curry today? And then it seems all students kept quiet, and teacher went on actually persuading for the response. What is your answer for this? It seems one boy said, Guruji, because you are asking for the response, I am answering your question. Today in the curry prepared by Guru Patni, salt was not adequate. Then the teacher said after that, oh, that means your studies got over, you pack your luggage and return home. And then that boy was shocked. He asked, what is this, Guruji? You only asked for the answer and I gave you the answer. And you say you go home. And it seems Guruji said, students during Brahmacharya period, when they are undergoing the rigors of the education system, they should not be carried away by palate. You recognized that salt is less or adequate or inadequate. That means your focus now is not there on education. And Bhagavan used to say, in our hostel also life will be like that. My students will not focus on taste, palate, likes, dislikes, etc. That is how when Bhagavan said, my students are sages, they are sages potentially. Then teachers also have similar expectations. That's why, because if the taps have this kind of responsibility, what will be the responsibilities for the tanks? Say for example, before I joined here, I saw, in many institutions, similar universities where I studied and other universities, first of all, the faculty accommodation for the teachers will be very, very, very good. Very good accommodation. 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and living room, drawing room, like that. And I came here, I thought that I would be given similar accommodation. And then the very first day I joined, accommodation office I reached, and then they said, sir, this particular person will take you to your accommodation. I thought I would be taken to a big house. Then they took me to West 5, sea floor, and 5, C floor, C third floor, fifth room. They opened and they showed me. There is the small room, something like 14 by 14 or something like that. There was an attached bathroom and there was a kitchen. Kitchen was locked. And then bathroom was there. I came here along with my family, wife and 2 children. And I asked them the question, where should I cook? They said, kitchen is locked, where should I cook? They said, outside. Where is the cart? No cart. Where is the fan? No fan. I was shocked, literally shocked. See, my God, I am now required to teach at the postgraduate level, one room without kitchen. How do I survive? Then, it was over. Then I went that day to the campus, first time. And again, in the universities, campus, office, the faculty rooms for the associate professors, quite big rooms, and very good accommodation. That means, executive table, revolving chair, Godrej, Birua, and fan, and then attached bathroom, all that. Then I was taken to a room where actually one large hall, some 30 chairs were placed again around big, huge tables. And I said, sir, this is waiting room. Where is my actual faculty room? They said, this is your faculty room. I was shocked. My God, the world beneath my feet was slowly disappearing. I was really, literally shocked. See, this is where, that is why tank also was trained by Bhagavan. Tanks were also trained. Then, when I was going through this kind of mental frame, one day, actually, after the darshan, see how Swami teaches also, helps people to get adjusted to this place. Provided, we have devotion to Bhagavan. Then, one particular school teacher whose son was my son's classmate in the school, primary school. Then, he was saying, we were returning after darshan bhajan. Then, he asked me, sir, where are you living? I said, so in so place. But, I was saying, I'm having lot of difficulty. What is this? Accommodation very small. And, I'm not used to this like that. I asked him, where is your accommodation? He said, sir, my accommodation is also nearby. Will you come? I said, yes, I want to see. I was expecting because, by that time he was already there here for more than 10 years or so. So then I asked him, and then he said, come. Then he took me. He took me to a big shed. And then in that shed, I found actually, several compartments are made only by them, makeshift arrangement with bed sheets. And in one particular block like that, it seems they were living for 10 years along with wife. And then a boy was also born, Mike. I was shocked. Then I thought, oh my God. I thought I am the only person making sacrifice. There are people who are actually making bigger sacrifice. That means what I am doing is not a sacrifice. At least I am given a room. This man has been living for 10 years. And with big shed. That means here, people have to actually focus on not creature comforts, and that is a higher learning. Satyasai Institute of Higher Learning is higher learning because unlearning is there. What is that unlearning? That world does not mean only comforts, facilities, amenities, luxuries in life. Then, towards the end of the year, almost, in 1986 March, Swami called us all. Those days, we all used to have, interaction with Bhagavan, interviews, students, teachers, administrators, we all used to have interaction. Then, in the actual main, campus institute building, what we call foyer. All our students, when I say foyer, they can easily recall the place where prayers, our morning prayers and everything takes place. I was called there. We were all called. We all assembled there. Then, Swami was sitting there, and I learned quite a few things in that. First of all, students were swarming Swami, flocking around Swami, almost pressing Swami. Then Swami was saying, "Say, give place, give place, give place. What is this?" Then he looked at the Vice Chancellor, who was also newly appointed. After the first Vice Chancellor, I was appointed during the Vice Chancellor time of V.K. Gokak. And then V.K. Gokak stepped down in 85 December. 86 January onwards, second Vice Chancellor Saraf ji came. And Saraf ji was also new like me, I think. He was saying, see, Bhagavan was actually provoking, see, your Vice Chancellor, see, your boys are misbehaving like this. What are you doing? Then, he was saying, hey, come on, give space, give space. What is this? Then, Chakravarti ji was there. And he was the person, one of the few people here who really understands Bhagavan. He was saying, sir, just keep, no, sir, Swami likes it. Swami likes it. Leave it. Swami likes it. Swami says like that, but Swami likes it. Then, I understood Bhagavan was like Krishna. Apparently, though he may show certain feelings outside, but actually like Gopikas, he wants people to be like that. First lesson. Second thing is, then, Bhagavan was saying, I know, see, in this place, many things were not there. Maybe many of you are actually taken aback, surprised, shocked with the facilities here. Okay, then, he was asking me, I know the many things you need. What are your needs? Tell me. I will give you anything you want, he was saying. Then, Bhagavan said, all people, my colleagues were actually who were there for almost more than 7-8 years by that time. They were all smiling. Then I was thinking, what is this? These crazy fellows, why are they laughing? When Bhagavan is saying, what are your needs? Don't they know to tell Bhagavan about needs? Then, when he was saying like that, then actually Bhagavan was saying, maybe you are hesitating. Shall I tell you? You need anything, you ask me. You need anything, you ask me. I will provide, no problem. Then, still nobody was saying anything. I got a little disturbed. I felt, what is this? Fellows here, don't they have tongue? Why they are not expressing what actually Bhagavan, really when Bhagavan was saying, can't we say these are our needs? I was thinking, within myself, tables are not there, chairs are not there, birvas are not there, fans are not there, nothing is there. Why can't they say? Then, Bhagavan said, ask for anything other than tables, chairs, lights, fans, birvas. Then Bhagavan was eliminating one by one. Then what else is remaining? Nothing. Then, actually I understood. That means the seniors who joined before me in this institution are smiling, laughing because they know, they understood actually Bhagavan. So this is what actually, and you know one thing is, but then Swami explained the philosophy. Not that Bhagavan was not able to afford all these things. Swami can give the entire world to anybody. But then Bhagavan said, see one thing, for an ideal educational institution, ideal students and ideal teachers are required. Ideal teachers should not get carried away by comforts, physical comforts, facilities and amenities. There is need in the modern world, Gurukula system, for students who will be prepared to sacrifice, and for the teachers who are also prepared to make bigger sacrifices. And you know, that means actually for ideal education system, what is required is students who are prepared to learn, teachers who are prepared to teach, whether facilities are there or not. And that means, then I understood, that means in this education system we have to make sacrifice. So simple living and high thinking, that's what Gandhi used to say. Simple living and high thinking. Then second one is omnipotence, omniscience of Bhagavan. Actually, you know, Bhagavan gave us interview in the year 1986. Around April time, that particular year, after Bhagavan's 60th birthday, Bhagavan was here. Because, you know, certain incidents, it seems, happened in Vrindavan. That is why Bhagavan did not go there. Bhagavan was here. Of course, I was new because, you know, actually what happened, I didn't know. It seems, you know, people from Kadugodi and other areas, it seems something happened. There was some turmoil. Then, you know, and you know, to that actually, if you all know, Professor V.K. Gokak also responded issue by issue, and that was also printed during 60th birthday time. That book was also actually made available. Even today it may be there. Then at that time, what happened was my son, who was actually doing third class, when I was doing valuation of end semester examination papers, answer scripts, then suddenly my son said, I'm going because my friends are going and they are seeking permission of Bhagavan to return to home place, so I am going. He ran off. Then I thought, and the Swami knows, Swami will ask a boy, who is your father? Suppose my name is quoted, why he did not come? Question will come. So I said, I temporarily closed my answer script job and then I went to Mandir. Then Swami gave us, fortunately, interview. In that interview, Swami was asking me, questions. First of all, he was asking me, how is your mind control? Then, I thought, mind control, Bhagavan, what is mind control? I was not able to actually recall anything. Then, again I asked Bhagavan, Swami, I don't know anything. No, you know. How is your mind control? Then, he went on playing the drama for a few minutes. Then, when I was not smart enough to actually get the clue and, actually response, then Bhagavan himself reminded me. When you were at your hometown, Visakhapatnam, in your staircase room, you used to sit and then read a book called Mind and Its Control by Swami Buddhananda, Ramakrishna Mission publication. And then you used to make notes in a small diary, green diary. You remember? Then I remembered, my God, what happened some few years back this is 1986, that happened 80s. Then Swami said, how is mind control? Now tell me. Then I remembered, yes, green diary. And then, that particular book, small book, which inspired me a lot. And Swami was saying as if nobody knows. Nobody knows in this world except me and except myself. Nobody else knows. Then, Swami said, how is mind control? Now tell me. Then I said, Swami, actually I used to feel, very bad. I'm trying but not succeeding. Then I honestly responded to Bhagavan's question, Swami, I am trying. Then Swami said, don't try. It will become dry. Okay, you have to do it genuinely. Overnight you may not accomplish it, but continue. Don't give it up. That's what Bhagavan said. Then, when Bhagavan said like that, yes, Swami, I will do it. Then, actually, another instance demonstrating the omniscience of Bhagavan. See, one of our colleagues who was working with me in my previous stint, where I worked for one university, along with me in another postgraduate center he was working. And he came to Anantapur for some work, and he also went there to participate in some seminar kind of thing. And then, we came back, and then we were actually, he said, Bhaskar, I want to see your place. Will you take me? I said, oh, no problem, come, we will go. We came in RTC bus, we got down, and then it was darshan time, and we came, he saw, and then he said, show me the place around after bhajan. I took him around, but unfortunate thing was I didn't know about him. He was a type of atheist, and he used to say that he was a communist. Okay. And then he was continuously criticizing Bhagavan and Bhagavan's institution, Bhagavan's devotees, Bhagavan's practices here. And he was saying, what is this he is doing? And all these people are wasting time. These educated people, accomplished people, instead of this they can do something else. And he was talking not softly but very loud. And it became an embarrassment for me. What is this fellow is doing? Then, I was feeling, I was telling him also, see, all people know me, so please, no, what is this? You are not talking, I am talking. So he was talking at the top of his voice. He was criticizing Bhagavan. Then, actually, everything was over. And then we went to some small place, gave him some snacks, and then I said, Atiti Devo Bhava. So I dropped him back in the bus stand, and then I said, see, actually, I have to go back. Okay? And actually, at that time, what happened was, it seems, I don't know what happened, this was over, and then he went back. Then after 2 years, what happened was, morning darshan time, I was going back home, preparing myself to go to the institute for work. Then, suddenly somebody called me and said, sir, somebody is calling you, and see. And then I saw somebody with, big beard and everything like that, and, some, quite strange clothing, etc. Then I looked at him, I thought, it was mistake, so he thought me for somebody else and he was calling me, so I said nothing. And then, next one colleague came and he was saying, Kumar Bhaskar, see that man, it seems he worked with you in previous college. He is saying Kumar Bhaskar was my colleague, so he wants to meet you. Then, I went near him. Then, hey, Raju, you, what is this transformation? How come you are like this now? Then he said, I will explain. Do you have time now? He said. I said, no, I don't have time. The reason is I have to go and work I have to go for work. But evening, if you are going to be here, we will meet. He said, yes, I am going to be here. Then evening, after bhajan we met. Then I asked him, what happened? What all happened? Then, he was saying, Oscar, you remember last 2-3 years back when I came here, I was doing everything, and then you left me in the bus stand, and then you returned. You know what happened? What happened was, I was there, and then I said, if Swami is really God, which these people are believing, now he should come out. Okay? And then stop at the entrance of the bus stand, the old bus stand. And then he should stop the car, get down and say, and give a beautiful smile to me looking into my eyes. It seems he made a mental challenge. This is a challenge to Bhagavan. He threw a challenge. If Swami does it, then I will believe him that he is Bhagavan. Then, suddenly, when the moment this thought came, it seemed there was some commotion and people were running here and there, and, something happened. And then, he also ran. What happened? Sir, Swami is coming out. That was actually sports meet time. And it seems Swami was going to the playground to watch some program of the students practice. Then, Swami came out in his car. And then, he said, I will not go. Because he already made, Swami should stop here. So he stood there near the entrance portico. He was standing there. Then Swami came, stopped the car, got down, looked at him, gave a smile, and continued his journey. That's it. He started sweating. And then he went back. And then, that created a revolution in him, internal revolution in him. And then he became a devotee of Bhagavan. And then actually he became part of the Samiti. And then it seems he also went around, he also used to go around and give discourses about Bhagavan. He studied Swami's literature. And he became almost like a Swamiji. Almost like a Swamiji. This is what actually I learned. That means Bhagavan knows about you, knows about me, knows about everybody, not only believers but also disbelievers. Swami can actually change. And then, one more thing about Bhagavan's, what is called omniscience is, see, one particular English professor joined our institute after retirement from one of the big universities. And once Bhagavan gave us all interview, staff and all staff members of Prashanta Nilayam campus. Swami used to call for interviews those days. I'm talking about 1990s, 1989, like that. Then, suddenly, this man was not there. Then Swami said, where is he? Then, people said, Swami, he is not here. Maybe. Then Swami asked one of the colleagues, go and call him. And one of the colleagues ran to the quarters and brought him. And he came. And while coming, actually it happened so that he, unfortunately, because somewhere something was damp and he slipped and fell down, and Swami said, be careful. And then, we all were in the small interview room in Prashanta Nilayam. Then Swami asked all people, you have any questions? And this man, somehow, he was new. Though he was devotee, he was new. And naturally, these accomplished people will have some peculiar outlook. And he asked Bhagavan a question. Bhagavan, because you are asking me, I have a question. And he asked about a particular author in English language and literature who was not known to many people. I am also a professor, son of a professor of English. I also studied English literature. I also did not come across in English literature that person. He asked that question. Swami, why did he write like that? How do you explain all that? Actually, this kind of question generally in Vaivavasi of PhD or Vaivavasi of MA English literature and language, people should ask that question. But he asked that question. Then Swami waited and then answered that question for half an hour. Absolutely professional response. Then, actually all people were shocked. What is this? And then Bhagavan explained everything, and this particular person also was apparently dumbfounded. He was shocked. What is this? He did not expect Bhagavan to answer that question like this. He was shocked. Then, when he was actually, swallowing his saliva in a very humble way, then Swami said, "Sir, don't think that Swami knows only about bhajans and spirituality, sir. Swami knows about all subjects." And Swami said, one statement, "Otherwise, do you think all you people would allow me to survive? You all would have swallowed me like a papad." See, Swami said. So this is what actually, Swami demonstrated, Swami showed, gave us opportunity. Actually demonstrated means not like, to impress anybody. To actually, help us to grow as human beings. That's why, I always used to think, that's what, Annamacharya used to say, "Manujudai putti, manujunichi sevinchi, anudinamu dukkham andanela." After all, being born as a human being, what's the point serving an ordinary human being? Fortunately, we all got the opportunity to work for Bhagavan and in his institution. That opportunity is because of his grace. Now the third one is unconditional surrender, meaning love my uncertainty. See, that's what Bhagavan always used to say. He never used to say, like my uncertainty, accept my uncertainty, okay, adjust to my uncertainty. Actually, we people may say that, because Hofstede's of, what is called the 5 factors which differentiate cultures across the world also will talk about uncertainty avoidance. But Bhagavan used to say, love my uncertainty, not like, love. Okay? What is the meaning of that? That is why unconditional surrender. Marjala Kishora Nyaya, Markata Kishora Nyaya. In Sharanagati Prapatti, actually, that is what actually Bhagavata describes it as Marjala Kishora Nyaya. All those of us who have been with Swami, we did not hold on to him, but he held on to us. That is Marjala Kishora Nyaya. And then from time to time, it looks like Swami may drop us, but Swami never dropped anybody so far. So that means, actually what is this that I have seen? First thing is, MBA was started in the year 1986. And then, August 21st, 1986 was the inauguration. Then, actually it happened so that, I was, of course, fortunately Swami gave me opportunity to be part of the committee that was constituted for the actual starting of MBA program. Dharni Sinha, Professor Vishwanath Pandit, and then, Professor Sharaf Chakravarti ji, and then, some more people like Krishna Swami from Bangalore University, and some more people, like that. Me and also Professor Shiv Pandit, my colleague, who is still working like me in this university. Then, actually, program was started. That program starting, itself was unbelievable. Because, within 3-4 months, Swami did everything, program was actually launched. Impossible for ordinary universities. But Swami did it. Then, actually at that particular time, what happened was, 21st August, program was starting. Then, 19th morning, I went to the mandir, and then when I went to Mandir, I was returning to I was returning home to go for the classes, day's classes in the morning. Then, actually, two people came. Professor Nanjundaya, at that time, controller of examinations, and the first dean of the Department of Business Management. It was called like that. Okay. Today it is called Department of Management and Commerce. Those days it was called Department of Business Management. And because, at that time there was another department, Department of Commerce. And I was actually faculty there. Then, they told me, you are aware that day after tomorrow the MBA program is going to be inaugurated. I said, yes, sir. But then they said, see, you are going to teach a course called Indian Ethos and Values. They told me. I said, my God, what is? Because, sir, I'm already teaching 3.25 courses, about 15 plus 1, 16 hours or something like per week. I said, I am already teaching, sir, 3.25 courses, so no. He said, no, that's fine, but you are going to teach this course also. Okay. Then I said, sir, you have to teach. I said, okay, that means now it is inevitable, I have to teach. Then I asked, okay, that is fine. Where is the syllabus? They gave me 1 page. Just 2 lines were there. And they said, this is the syllabus. My God, what is the syllabus? From this, how can I teach a course for almost 1 semester? They said, yes, you are going to teach. Okay, sir, where is the study material for this? They took me to the library and they showed me, see, 6 racks of library books are there. You can read. I said, my God. And then they told me also, on August 21st, after Bhagavan's inauguration, you are the first person going to teach the first class, very first class. I said, sir, there are no transparencies, like, those days overhead projector transparencies, because we had only one overhead projector in the institute, that too with the optics department of the physics. And, then I had to prepare on fast forward basis what we call flip charts. Flip charts also, paper was there. And then, actually other things, nothing was available. Stationery shop was not there. So I had to prepare on white paper, full scrap sheet, and then mount it on newspaper, use clipping, and then I prepared just temporary, appropriate technology flip charts. Okay. Inauguration was going on. Then Bhagavan said, this MBA program is not ordinary MBA, it is Master of Man Management. Triple M, Master of Man Management. Master of Man Management is not possible without actually Master of Self-Management. Every manager should first of all be able to manage his own Arishad Vargas. And Swami was explaining like that. And then Bhagavan said, in this course, unlike other courses, the backbone of the course is Indian ethos and values, Bhagavan said. Then, when he mentioned that already, I am going to teach this course, Swami mentioned this course title. Then Swami said, this course is my course. And then Bhagavan also requested the Vice Chancellor sitting opposite to him, see, Vice Chancellor, give me hours on the timetable, I am going to teach this course. I will come and teach this course. I was surprised. Then Bhagavan did not stop there. Then Bhagavan said, at the physical plane, I was sitting in the front row like a bakra. And then Swami showed me with his index finger and said, he is going to teach this particular course along with me. Along with me. When he said that, the whole audience, first of all, focus turned towards this tiny character. Who is this fellow going to teach the course along with Bhagavan? Then, actually, my God, hundreds of trains started running in my heart. in my conscience. That's how, first of all, Bhagavan, and it's a comparison between Bhagavan and me. I was nothing. I was young man, 32-year-old man without any experience. And Bhagavan. We cannot describe Bhagavan. Bhagavan is teaching the course along with me. And of course, boys also used to have fun. They used to think, how can he teach along with Bhagavan? Yes, I also know that. But then, love my uncertainty. But I taught the course for several years. Not my credit, but his grace. That's how Swami actually, very, very important thing is love my uncertainty. And Swami also wanted his teachers to, we were all instruments only. Now, actually, I will come to that instrument part. Actually, second batch of MBA, today some of the students, like say, for example, in Vrindavan campus, Shiv Kumar, second batch, Dr. Shiv Kumar, MBA, second batch. And similarly, in this campus right now, my colleague, my second batch student, Vivek Kapoor, they were all students. And I was teaching a course, self-development, and then, that was also again Bhagavan's course. Bhagavan used to say, these two are my courses, Indian ethos and values, self-development. I was teaching this course morning. Then, actually, the then registrar entered the room. He sought my permission. I want to announce something. I said, "Sit, come sir, you are registrar, you can come." So he came. Then, actually, what happened was, at that particular time, he asked me, see, I have to make an announcement. This is the announcement. You are all going for industrial tour to Bangalore to visit certain factories. And then, only thing is here, you have to follow certain rules and regulations according to Bhagavan. He has certain expectations. Then the boys asked, sir, how are we going to go? By bus. Okay, fine. And who will be coming, accompanying us from here, escorting us from here to Bangalore? And he said, Kumar Bhaskar. My God, I was shocked. Tomorrow, we have to take. Today I still taking the class. And then, they asked, who will make arrangements for the bus? Then, immediately he said, Kumar Bhaskar will make the arrangements. I said, my God, I will make the arrangements. How? I have a class in the afternoon. Now I have still 1 hour class. How I am going? And then he said that and left. He left. Then, my God, I became so nervous. But I completed the class. I went, and then, of course, he told me while going, see, you go, sit, and then actually, you take Swami's blessings. Then, I said yes. Then, actually, after that, I went, and then, I made arrangements, and then I sat in the front in the evening, in the darshan. Then Swami came out and said, Swami, why are you sitting here? I said, Swami, I am going to take the boys for an industrial tour. I was instructed by Bhagavan, by our authorities to go with the boys. Good, I know. But then Swami said, few things. Yes, you are going, but the thing is, boys, when they get into the bus here, that's it. They should not get down anywhere in between. Till they go to the Vrindavan campus, they should remain only in the bus. They should not violate the discipline at all. And if they need anything, you should make all arrangements for them in the bus itself. Boys were also there. They were saying, sir, what? What, sir, we are all grown-up boys. How can how is it possible we should not get down anywhere? Swami said, no, they should not get down anywhere. Then, next day Swami called us for actually interview. And then Swami actually gave us all all boys, that is MBA's first year batch and then MCOM second year boys, that batch. And Swami created, Swami's actually visiting cards, about some 100 like that, and Swami gave to all of us. And then Swami said, wherever you go, if you produce this, you will gain entry. Then actually after the whole trip, some people tried to actually say, Swami, we want to present certain things to Bhagwan, so please allow us to present like that. We will get down and then we will buy these items in the market and we will come back. But then Swami said no. Then we said no, because Swami said this particular thing is not allowed. Then they said, sir, we know, you know more about Bhagwan, or sir, we know, sir. Sir, we were all born in Swami's hands, sir, many of us. So we will do it. Then we said, all that is true. But the same Bhagavan gave us a particular, what is called job. That according to his satisfaction, we have to do it. So we will not allow you. Then we returned. Then Swami asked us, we sat in the front, then Swami asked us, see how the discipline was maintained. Then before I was about to say anything, Bhagavan was, I know it was going like this, but yes, what you have done is right. What I expected from you, you people have followed it. So this is what actually, my second understanding and experience with Bhagavan. In 1987, Swami gave us all an interview, and actually before that, first batch of boys, we took them for industrial tour, and then we, in Bandipur forest, Bhagavan created actually a white diamond ring for me. See, this is now green. Swami created a white diamond ring and gave me, put it on my finger in the bus in the Bandipur forest. Then Swami at the same time, cutting the long story short, Swami also told me, when I asked Bhagavan, Swami, I want an interview. Then Swami said, yes, I will give you back in Bangalore. Bangalore, that was itself a high drama. That day so many VIPs came. So I thought it was over. Darshan was over. Bhajan was over. But then at that particular time, Swami called saying that, see, one commerce professor came from Puttaparthi along with MBA boys. Where is he? Then people said, sir, he is here. And then, of course, I also became alert. Then I called my wife and we together went inside. Then Bhagavan said, take the ring from your hand. I gave the ring, white ring. I was nervous. What will happen to my ring? Of course, very immature behavior. Then, Bhagavan took that ring and, put it close to his mouth and blew on that for 3 times. It became emerald ring. Then, Bhagavan called us inside. There is one more room inside where Swami generally gives detailed instructions. Then, Swami gave us instructions saying that, see, I asked Swami, can you give me some mantra? Generally, those days, I used to have that kind of fascination. Some mantra from Guru like that. Then when I asked Bhagavan about that, then Bhagavan said, see, no, that's okay. You have been doing that one particular practice. Continue with that. At the right time, I will give you. But, see, one thing I will tell you. Hereafter, in your life, certain experiences you are going to encounter. Whatever you may do, you cannot control them. Whatever you may do, you cannot control them. You cannot avoid them. Okay? Take it as for your mind control. I thought, what? It's okay. Then, that interview was over. We returned. Few months after that, a very peculiar experience. What is, extreme, what is called kind of shyness to face people, being a teacher. And then Just after that, one more thing, I was actually guiding a research student for PhD, and then I was actually, for some misunderstanding, for some reason, I was given termination order. I was going for darshan. Director then at that time gave me a letter saying that, see, I'm very painful to do this job, but I have to do it. I opened the letter and saw, your services are not required beyond 6 months. For me, actually, at that time or even now, the only support is actually job. Then I was shocked. I was really literally shocked. Then, I went through that particular thing for 6 months. Then, actually 6 months I tried in various places somehow. Again, cutting the long story short. And then, one day, actually speaking, I became so desperate, and, I was foolish also in a way. I had 2 children already, wife, 2 children. Somehow under impulse, I thought I'm not getting any job anywhere, how I will survive? So I thought of ending my life. I thought like that. Though not really prepared, but I thought like that. Then, I asked one of our relations, what is the most powerful poison? Then he told me, see, rat poison. Then in Hyderabad, one thing, I used to see on every cart in Himayat Nagar, where my sister used to live, this rat poison is available on every cart. Then I went there, and then that day I tried my best. Almost about 2 kilometers stretch, 4 or 5 times I went. Not even on one cart, I don't know that day why it was not available, that rat poison was not available. I was very much disappointed. I came home, and then I returned to Parthi, and then I was sitting in the mandir. Then Swami looked at me and said, sir, your life is not in your hands, sir. Your life is in my hands. People whom I want to live, even if they want to die, I will not allow them to die. People who are supposed to die, even if they want to live, they may not be able to actually survive. So Swami said, don't get carried away by these experiences. Then, actually, December 17th, my last day was over. I was at home. I was packing my luggage. And I asked the transporter, how much you will charge for my luggage to be transported to Visakhapatnam? He said 6,000 rupees. I had 2,000 rupees bank balance. Then, actually, what happened was, then, I went somewhere, and then, so I went to somebody and I asked his help. He said, I will give you a job for 2,000 rupees, but you ask your wife to stay with your in-laws. This will be sufficient only for you. You have to do a lot of travel. I said yes, and then I came back. And at that time, the director, who was my neighbor in the staff quarters, was waiting for me. Where is he? Where is he? And then I came. Then he said, what, man? I have been searching for you for 2 hours. Where have you gone? Swami fixed a meeting with you, with Vice Chancellor and Registrar, tomorrow evening, 4:30 onwards. Go. I went the following day. And naturally, Swami will not let down his devotee. And in the meantime, many people used to tell me, sir, here, actually some people are very close to Bhagwan, sir. Sir, you go them, you request them, they will put in a good word about you, then you will be saved. Your own approach, your own devotion will not work. Then I said, nothing doing. I came here for Swami. If Swami saves me, Swami saves me. Otherwise, okay, whatever is destined to happen will happen. I thought like that. Then, the next day, really, I was called, and then everything patched up. And the next day when I went and sat in the front, Bhagwan said, have you got your reappointment letter? I said, Swami, yes. Then Swami asked me one question. Who gave you this job? Then foolishly I thought, factually, Swami made the authorities give me back my job. Then Swami said, no! Swami shouted, I don't know. I was shocked. Swami said, no, not authorities. I myself gave you back the job. I myself gave you back the job. 3 times Swami repeated. That means then I realized, sarva dharman parityajya mamyekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo moksha yishyami masuchaha. What Bhagavan Krishna promised in 18th chapter of Gita actually is Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba actually was a person who came back to the world to show that like Krishna, as Krishna in the next avatar, he was still doing the same thing. I did not have to depend on anybody. That's the third lesson actually that I learned. The next aspect, as I mentioned in the agenda itself, is be tough and nice. Bhagavan's philosophy was hit even a small snake with a big stick. But then teachers here will have to always bear in mind Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyas is good, Preyas is pleasant. Swami used to give a beautiful analogy which is useful for all of us. Then only question is how much of actually disciplining, how much of compassion. Swami used to say, just like snake gourd, that vegetable which we grow in the garden on that particular frame, bamboo frame. We all have seen the farmers will be tying actually to the tip of the snake gourd small thread and then also a stone. Now the question will be, what should be the weight of the stone? The weight of the stone should be such that the snake gourd will grow straight but will not actually snap it. See, like this, actually Bhagavan always used to say, 2 things are there, that is Sikshana and Siksha. Sikshana is instruction, Siksha is punishment. Bhagavan was of the particular belief, philosophy that without Siksha, Sikshana is not there. Punishment is very, very important. That is why Swami always used to say, Brahmachari Satamarkataha. That is why all the students, they should be always, Swami used to say, give key. Don't keep them idle. That is Swami's philosophy. But then, one thing is, but Swami's compassion is unbelievable. Say, for example, which I myself saw. During one, winter season, that means sports meet time, actually, students from Ooty used to come. Small boys. The boys will be sitting in the front. Swami came for darshan. Swami went around. Swami was returning from actually gent side. When he was returning from gent side, see, Swami's compassion for students, small children also. And that one of the boys, small boys, he was doing something. Swami, the people said, no. Then, he, after some time, he could not control. Swami was returning and he was going in the opposite direction. Then, the Sevadal who was accompanying Swami shouted, hey, stop! Then, he did not stop. Then, what he did was he was actually holding and he... So, Bhagavan, that when that boy was returning, actually what was happening was, because it was winter and he could not control his bladder, actually already it was happening. Okay, dribbling. Then, the Sevadal saw that, but, he was shouting. Then Bhagavan noticed that and said, hey, stop. That fellow, small boy, is not able to control his bladder. Otherwise, he will actually, wet the whole veranda. Then that boy went. and he was showing like that. He was showing sir, like that. And of course that Swami actually, Swami's compassion is so much that when actually already dribbled, and then Swami came through the veranda, avoiding that, and then he went to interview him. And then, of course, that boy went, and then he eased himself and came back and sat. And then Swami completed interviews, and then he came out. Then he saw this boy, asked, "Hey, now are you fine?" He said, "Fine." Then that boy got idea, crazy idea. "Swami, bless me now." Swami said, "My blessings are always there for you." Again, he said, "No, Swami, you should bless me." Swami said, "Yes." Then he said, "No, not like that, Swami. I saw you in various photographs. You always bless people like this with both hands. Bless like that." And Swami said, Swami was smiling and he blessed. Then he increased his demand. Then he said, "Swami, in temples, all the images of God will be bent like this. See, like this and bend. Bless me like that." Swami bent like that and blessed him. This is what actually, be tough and nice. My God, Swami was so nice to everybody. But at the same time, one thing, Swami was also very tough with some people. So, for example, what I have seen, one particular research scholar, in initial years, very bright boy, very intelligent boy, and very talented boy, everything, and then he wrote a letter to Bhagavan saying that the guide, his research guide, was not competent according to him. He wrote a letter. And Swami brought that letter and showed it to everybody. See what is happening in this institute? Students are judging the quality of the teachers. And one boy says that the teacher is not good, like that. And of course, Swami, this was informed finally to the particular professor also, very senior professor. Then, actually Swami, naturally, always like Krishna, he used to play the drama, Leela, divine Leela. And then, he used to go and tell the boy, "See, teachers here are not like this like that, joking." And he will go to the vice chancellor and say, "What are you doing? Are you not actually following up? Are you not actually supervising the teachers, what they are doing, etc.?" And then he will go to the teacher and say, "Why that boy is saying like that? How can you keep quiet? You should, come on, be serious," like that. Then, this went on for almost 2-3 months. Then, one day, it became too much for the particular professor. And then, when, Bhagavan was joking like this, I think he could not take it anymore. And then, morning, he did not go to classes. He sat in the front. Swami saw him. Then, he did not go back. Bhajan started. He did not go. Bhajan got over. Then, Bhagavan came to him and asked him, "See, what happened? Why are you not going?" Then he said, "Swami, see, this is, But now actually it became so much that in the department, discipline unfortunately is getting affected because of all this. Other boys also, definitely will get influenced by all this." Then, okay, he said, "Bhagavan, if you think that he is right, the boy is right, don't worry, I will leave. I have come here with the resignation letter. I take the resignation letter, I will go. If you think that the boy is wrong, then okay, take action against him. But both of us will not go together. It is for you, Swami. I will not. I leave it in your hand." Then Bhagavan said, "When you have not done something wrong, why should you go?" Then Bhagavan immediately sent directions to the vice chancellor. That student was asked to pack up the luggage then and there, and he was asked to leave Puttaparthi, and he left the very same day or following day or something like that. He left. That means Swami, tough and also nice. He was not only nice, but he was, when required, he was very, 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 very tough. Then, another thing is, so the fourth dimension is, if you take care of my children as your own children, I will take care of your entire family, or I will bear the entire burden of your family. Bhagavan loved his students so much that even grown-up students like MBA students, Swami wanted us to take care of them like our own children. So actually, because we started the MBA program late in August, while other programs actually commence their sessions in June, we wanted to hold night classes and morning again 0-hour classes. Bhagavan actually was not in favor of actually holding the night classes. So at that time what happened was, Vice Chancellor and the Registrar and then Dean of Management Studies, they requested Bhagavan, and Bhagavan agreed, but on one condition, that teachers should take the responsibility for all this. What is the responsibility? So for example, I had night classes and then I was supposed to go in the night, 7:30, to the hostel, ask them to assemble in quadrangle, and then actually follow them from behind in the hostel, and then go to the hostel, take the classes till 9:30 or 10, and after the classes again ask them to assemble as a group, and then again take back all of them to the hostel and make sure that they all go back to their rooms, and then only I should come back. But then, see, the thing is, the sensitive thing is, matured boys like MBA boys used to feel, what sir, we are grown-up people, how can, why this kind of control? But this is what actually Swami wanted. Similarly, in question paper preparation also same thing. Swami used to say, don't give all kind of question papers. Say for example, in one particular question paper, I gave a particular question, and then it went to the notice of Bhagavan, because that one student was staying actually in Bhagavan's mandir at that time. Then actually next day Vice Chancellor came and asked me, who prepared this question paper? And then the dean of our department said, sir, so and so. And then I was called, and then I was questioned, why did you prepare this kind of question? I said, what is wrong about this? He said, see, Bhagavan looked at the question paper and said that, see, brahmacharis are there among the students, and you should not give questions about case studies involving ladies. I said, so, sir, actually, see, this is about personality, and the personality, left brain, right brain, type A, type B, and actually it is concerned with the particular topic. That is why I had to ask. I said, no. Swami said that these people, these teachers have been there with me for a long time. Don't they know that all this will spoil the brains of brahmacharis? Then I was asked to apologize, and then I apologized. I wrote a letter to Swami apologizing for my mistake. Swami, I am not aware of this. See, this is the kind of what is called surrender. But for that, how Swami protected. My son, who was actually, studying in Bhagavan's school, he was average. Once I was called by the headmistress and told that this boy, see, he is not faring well, so she will not promote him to the next class, 8th class. Then he caught her feet. And then, suddenly what happened, we don't know. See, Bhagavan actually promised him in one of the interviews, when he asked, Bhagavan, I want to become good at studies. Then Bhagavan said, sir, as you grow, you will become better at studies. And then, that boy, subsequently, who was average at mathematics and studies, became actually Maths Olympiad. And then, actually subsequently, he did engineering, and then he did MTech at IIT Mumbai, and then PhD from Carnegie Mellon University, and then worked also in NASA for 6 years, and then he worked. He did also postdoctoral research in the University of Patra in Greece, and then subsequently he worked for Vermont University, and now he is a consultant in energy systems. And that's the grace of Bhagavan. See, if you take care of my children as your own children, I will bear the entire burden of your family. Then, the last dimension I would cover is heart-to-heart communication. See, Bhagavan once, was actually, dealing with one particular issue. It seems one particular professor, first founding faculty member of IIM Calcutta, and he used to come here and teach organizational behavior courses. So once, it seems, when he was there in the mandir, Swami was introducing him to everybody, saying that, see, he has done PhD here, he was founding faculty member of IIM, and then subsequently he went to Canada and did one more PhD there, etc. And then Swami asked him, what subject you teach? Psychology. Then Swami said, what is psychology? Then it seems he said, psychology is the study of human mind. Normally, anybody else had put that question, he would have answered it as psychology is the study of human behavior. But he said, psychology is the study of human mind. Then Swami said, see how great, my God, so great response he has given. Very experienced person. And because of love for Bhagavan, he comes here. And then Swami put him in cloud 9 and suddenly asked him, where is that mind? Then he was sweating from top to bottom. Then, suddenly he didn't know what to say. Then it seems Swami came to his rescue and said, mind is everywhere. Mind is everywhere. Okay? This is how actually even experienced person Swami used to communicate from heart to heart. Another thing is, one very senior devotee of Bhagavan was there. Actually, once when he was there in Treyi Vrindavan. And those days, wherever Swami went to Bangalore, people used to follow him. And one particular devotee was there, and then Swami asked him, when have you come? And instead of giving simple response, he said, Swami, just like mother cat, wherever it goes, kitten also will follow. Like that, we also followed you. Then Swami said, like that. Then he went a few paces further. His two sons were there. Then Swami looked at them and told them, see, tell your father that whenever Swami asks a question, he has to answer the only question, that's all, appropriately, accurately. He should not, use poetry unnecessarily and waste the time of everybody here. Ask him how to talk, he should learn. So this way, actually, Swami, we have learned several lessons at the lotus feet of Bhagavan. That's what I said. Living, education is not for mere living, but it is for life. This is how we all have learned, and teachers, particularly Swami, shaped in various dimensions. And the last, I would like to, conclude this talk by saying that what is the lesson we have learned? One most important lesson is actually Swami does not merely practice dharma, but whatever Swami does is dharma itself. And that is why happiness is only an interval between two miseries. Misery is only a gap between two moments of happiness. I would like to conclude this talk by saying that, first of all, I am thankful to Bhagavan for giving me this opportunity, first of all, to serve him. And now, actually, to talk about my experiences with Bhagavan at his lotus feet. Sai Ram to all of you.
Thank you, Professor Kumar Bhaskar Rachela. I think it was indeed a very, very thought-provoking experiences, sharing insights. Tough and being nice. The industrial tour, how to be taken care, everything in the bus. simple living, high thinking. From Vishakhapatnam to Puttaparthi, how Swami slowly underwent and made Professor Bhaskar undergo the transformation. What was expected and how it was to be delivered, it was indeed a very personal connecting experience. How one of your ex colleagues went on abusing Bhagwan, and yet, literally, when he threw the challenge, Swami read his thought, showed his omniscience, and fulfilled his desire, heartfelt desire. And after 2 years, when he came back, the one who was abusing had himself undergone spiritual transformation in his life. This was a very omniscient, deeply connecting experience with your colleague, which set us thinking that nothing can be hidden from Bhagwan. How, after being in a one room kitchen with food to be taken outside, and when another institute colleague showed how much simple he was living, so our sacrifices become less compared when we see how others do. So that was another interesting connecting experiences. You take care of my children and I take care of your children. It is indeed a great consolation and deeply connecting for our heart that even your son has done well in life, both in studies and reached global levels, thanks to Bhagwan's blessings. How the Indian ethos and values course was to be taken by Bhagwan, and how Swami did it wonderfully through your experience. And I think for management faculty to understand the ethos and education is for life and not for a living, and how Swami elevated your level by this experience was very, very touching for us. And finally, we would like to thank Bhagwan that though there was retirement and superannuation in the physical life, Swami had conveyed to you that this is the final destination to be reached in life. To get this blessing, to get this conviction is indeed a blessing. So, Professor Kumar Bhaskar Rachella, we want to deeply thank you that you showed us the destination, and your omniscience and omnipotent experience with the all knowing Bhagwan was indeed a lesson for us. I would like to thank the digital team, the Satyasai organization, for giving us this opportunity for the 117th edition of Samarpan. Thank you and Jai Sai Ram.